This is Ambassador Anwarul K. Chowdhury. I'm a former ambassador of Bangladesh to the United Nations and a former Under Secretary General and High Representative of the United Nations. I have been involved in multilateral diplomacy work of the United Nations for as many as more than 4 decades. And as we were coming out of the Cold War, the United Nations as such was looking into the opportunities to make peace or give peace a permanent place in the world. And we thought UNESCO, as a part of the UN system, was doing a wonderful work in building up the culture of peace. UNESCO Constitution mandated them to look into the possibility that as the war begins in the minds of men, and the structures of peace therefore should be built in the minds of men also. So we thought that has the potential of not only reducing military expenditure, devoting more of peace dividend to development, and also creating a mindset which will look forward to peaceful, non-violent war. And that is what encouraged me as the ambassador of Bangladesh at that time to write to the Secretary General of the United Nations, Kofi Annan, in July 1997, asking him to put an agenda in the highest body of the UN system for the General Assembly on the culture of peace. And that is how the culture of peace from the precincts of an entity of the United Nations was brought to the highest level of global diplomacy, the most universal body of the United Nations, the General Assembly, where all members of the United Nations are represented. And we felt that this is what should be done. So we, 1997, declared an international year for the culture of peace. 2001 to 2010 was declared as International Decade for the Culture of Peace. But then we said, what could be done to promote in this year and the decade? So in 1999, after much debate, after effort of 9 months, as the chairman of the drafting committee, I presented to the General Assembly from this podium, from where I'm speaking today, the United Nations Declaration and Program of Action on Culture of Peace. What does it mean? And it has been accepted by all the members of the United Nations, now 193, by consensus. And the culture of peace requires each one of us, individually and collectively, to become a believer in peace and non-violence. It wants us to turn each one of us into an agent of peace and non-violence. Unless we have seen that since its establishment in 1945, the UN has been making all efforts to promote peace. Peace is the main agenda of the United Nations, but it didn't work because UN went to prevent conflict with a kind of a fire brigade mentality, that they go there, put off the fire and come back without ensuring that the future generations in that country or that region start believing in peace, believing in the values of peace. And that is why we thought the mindset needs to be changed through educational system, through community work, through learning about the values of peace. Peace is not only morally and ethically important, but it has political, cultural, social values. It makes our life better. It makes our environment better. It makes our future generation grow up in a peaceful atmosphere. So, importance of peace is undoubtedly established, but we have to know how to achieve that and how to make that sustainable. Sustainability of peace is the core value of the culture of peace. And I believe it is very important, particularly we focus on children and young people, how they inculcate in themselves the values of the culture of peace. Culture of peace would ensure that we believe in peace, we can live our life in a non-violent way, we can face the challenges of our life in a non-aggressive way. And that is the value we want to bring in, not only to individuals, but to communities, to regions, to nations, and to the world as a whole. So that is the value of the culture of peace. And this is the booklet which holds the program of action and the declaration. It has 8 action areas, starting with education, economic and social development, human rights, equality between women and men, free flow of information, international peace and security, the benefits of tolerance, solidarity, and universal oneness. So all these things are there. And I believe that this document, unfortunately, has not been able to energize humanity as such. But peace, unlike war, takes a longer time to establish. As we say that those who want violence, want war, teach their younger generation to learn about that. But those of us who want peace and non-violence do not teach our children, younger people, about the values of peace and non-violence. So that's a bigger challenge. And I say that, it's wonderful to undertake that program. Study War No More. It's very important because history is full of war heroes, war glories, glorifying war. But we have never glorified peace. A peaceful person statue is never made in the square of the city, but a war hero stands there. So it's very important. But at the same time, we should remember that absence of war is a passive peace. We need to ensure that peace becomes more active. Proactive peace is very important, whereby we are changing. We bring in, and peace comes with social justice. It's very important, very integrally linked. So if there is no war, does not mean automatically we will have peaceful society, which is tolerant, which is non-discriminating, which is without prejudice. So these things, so structural violence is a bigger perspective that we need to challenge through the culture of peace. So that is the reality. And here I would like to put in 2 very important concepts. One is the concept of human security. So far, the world, the state countries are dictated by the perception of state-to-state security. But human beings should be the focus of all our efforts for peace. So peace and security. And so human security is the ultimate thing that we should adopt for countries. A country may be militarily, politically, economically very powerful, but its people may be very insecure. So that is very important that we need to understand. The second point I wanted to emphasize is the basic role and contribution of women. That should be taken into account forcefully and effectively. Without the 50% of humanity, world will make no progress in any human endeavor. We have adopted 17 Sustainable Development Goals. Those goals will make no headway without equal and full and recognized role of women. And that is very important. Same, in the Culture of Peace Program of Action identifies women's equality as one of the top 8 areas of action. So this is the reality, and I believe I will end by saying that it is very important for us to focus on changing the mindset of children as they grow up. It's very important. Early intervention will make the world a better place with people believing in peace and nonviolence. Finally, the world has become so interdependent and interconnected that we need to understand the value of global citizenship. While we are citizens of our own countries, but a global citizenship perception is very important, because nothing happens in this world just independently. It has an impact somewhere else. So we need to feel as a global citizen in articulating our life, articulating our focus. We should know that anything we do has an impact on the world or elsewhere, and anything other people do has an impact on us. I would like to end by saying that global citizenship is something which is absolutely essential for all of us to inculcate. This comes with the culture of peace. This comes with the oneness of humanity. Thank you very much. I am standing in the General Assembly Hall because of its symbolic value as the most universal world body, but also for us who are working for promoting the culture of peace. This is the place where the Declaration and the Program of Action on the Culture of Peace was adopted in 1999. 13th September is the date, and I feel very proud that I was present on the podium to present the document for adoption of the United Nations General Assembly. After all these years, we find a greater relevance of the concept of global citizenship to promote the culture of peace. I believe that the two are very integrally linked. Today's world is more interdependent and interconnected, and to be a global citizen is a reality which all of us should recognize. We are an individual, but we should be a part of bigger collective, a bigger world. Oneness of humanity is the essential force behind resolving conflict, bringing peace, making people more happy in their lives. So we need to understand the value of global citizenship. Global citizenship will prompt us to take responsibility for anything that we do, positively or negatively. We should understand that our action has a positive or negative impact on other people of the world. World is like a big family. We have to understand the value of each one of us in promoting the broader good of the family. So that is the important thing, and I believe that the school system, the college education, the universities should start focusing on this dimension of their education. It is very difficult to make that connected for a student who is studying to get a degree. But we have to say and emphasize that that degree will only be meaningful if we understand the value of global citizenship and become a part of a bigger global family. So global citizenship, the culture of peace, the oneness of humanity are all needed ingredients to make our life better, better, and our planet a better place to live.